This is Anthony Nunez, and today I'm actually going to be doing a book review about one of the first books that my mentor recommended to me when I began my financial journey. So, my mentor, who actually became a bigger presence in my life after my father passed away, gave me the Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is one of the books included in this one. This is Rich Dad's Plan for Financial Success, which actually has three of his books, and it's by Robert Kiyosaki with Sharon Lechter. And as you can see, it's a thicker book than the Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I like that because it has more information. So you just see him explain it uh, much more thoroughly, a lot of his ideas. And one of the biggest things that I got from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad is, are you working for your money, or is your money working for you? Are you constantly having to go out there, work to earn a certain amount just to pay your bills? Or are you able to push aside where your money is earning money for you? And he provides a wide array of examples and common struggles and ways to question whether you're practicing what he believes is a good practice when it comes to financial literacy and financial approaches. So, one of the biggest things he's famous for is his quadrant. In his quadrant, he has what's called the employee on the left side and the person that's self-employed. So, as an employee, you are going out and you are constantly working for your money. You are there, you're working for your money, and you have very little control of the work, right? The boss really dictates what he needs, and you, as the employee, fill that role in whatever capacity. So if you're a teacher, going out there 8 to 3, that's when the kids are in school, you're teaching whatever subject you're licensed for, and you get paid based off the amount of work that you do. Same thing goes for any other job, a fireman or a plumber, etc. Taking that same idea of a plumber was a good transition to self-employed. So as a self-employed, now you have control of your time per se, because you dictate at what time you want to start working, who you're going to work for, who you're not going to work for, what jobs you're going to take, what jobs you're not going to take. But it still requires you to be the dominant force in making money. So you have to literally be there, whether that's a plumber, it could be a real estate salesperson like I am, or it could be an electrician. Like, you have to be there to do that work, right? The B quadrant, which this side, the right side of the quadrant, is where he advocates people should try to go towards. And the B side stands for a business owner. So at this point, you have opened up your own business and you have other people working for you. So it goes back to this question, where money is now working for you. You've raised the capital, or you've found the capital for starting a business, and you have other people working that system for you. And lastly, on the right side of the column is an investor. So as an investor, you have money purely working for you, and other people are controlling the business, and you can now invest in businesses that you think are going to prosper, or you can be the lender of money to get businesses started. And this is where you want to be, where your money is doing the work for you 100%, and you have stepped out of that picture. And now it opens you up to have more time. On two other charts that go with this quadrant chart that he explains in depth are the income and expenses. So he draws a chart like this, and he has the income and expenses, and he has assets and liabilities. And he breaks down that poor people tend to have similar patterns. And the patterns are, they go to work, they make their money, then they go out and spend their money, and they're usually spending it on liabilities. And where I think he becomes real controversial, but he's actually correct, is that he calls a house, even if you own it, whether you pay rent or you own a house, if you're living in it and the money is coming from you, it is a liability. A car is a liability. Anything that is taking money out of your pocket would be a liability. So that's a different way of looking at it than many financial people look at it. Many people think that a house is an asset, and it could be, but he says it makes it very simple. If it's putting money into your pockets, then it's an asset. If it's taking money out, then it's a liability. So a house then becomes a liability, a car, and any other expense where money is coming out of your pocket becomes now a liability. He says poor people, what they do, or you can have a poor mindset, right? Because you can be making a lot of money. You can be a lawyer, you can be a teacher, you can be whatever it is. And if you're making a certain amount of money, and if you have this habit of getting the income and then quickly spending it on a bigger house, a nicer car, and this pattern of the money always leaving your account continues, then you're in a position where you are in a poor mindset, right? You aren't practicing or engaging in behaviors that are going to put you to be wealthy or rich. Now, what do wealthy people do that's so different? So in his book, he explains wealthy people will be getting income. They're going to take that income and spend it, go into expense columns, on assets. What would be assets? So this could be a house if the house is producing income for you. So if it's a multi-family house, or if it's a rental house where you are renting it out and it's bringing in money, then it would be considered an asset because the property is bringing money into your pockets. Or stocks, right? You go out and you buy stocks and the stocks appreciate in value or pay out a dividend, then that's bringing money into your pockets. Money is coming in. It could be the form of business, right? You're going to buy a business, you buy a franchise, right? So rich people or wealthy people have income. They're going to take that income and spend it on getting more assets. These assets are going to generate more income for them, and it'll create a cycle of positive cash flow. Okay, so where is the money moving? Over here, you see the money moving from income, then it's getting spent on assets that's going to produce more income. The poor guy or the poor person is going to be making money and spending money, whether it's buying a bigger house, buying a better car, buying a new car, or blowing it on a vacation. This is going to just be a continuous effect. They're going to make money, spend money, make money, spend money, and at some point they might even go and put the money on a credit card, which will then begin the debt process, where they're going to get further and further in debt. Now, a few other key words to consider when reading his book is his emphasis on financial literacy, the importance for people to become more financially literate. Now, schools obviously need to make an adjustment. Give an example. In New York, you go to school, you have one economics class for 6 months. Right? Every student has to have one economics class in high school for 6 months. But that's not enough. It really should be something that you have throughout your whole educational process. Right? You should be learning about money in a capitalist country throughout your whole educational process. So it's something to consider. And that burden of financial literacy is going to have to now come to you as an individual. You're going to have to go out and either look for educational companies like this one, where you're learning and via a website, or other ones you're going to have to buy books such as this one by Robert Kiyosaki, and you're going to have to learn more. So another term that's brought up is the importance of risk. So risk. A lot of people on this side will be scared to take risks when many times people that take the risk are the ones that are rewarded at a much greater capacity. So everyone's financial portfolio should have some level of risk. So you should really look into your portfolio and talk it over with professionals so that you calculate how much risk do you have, and do you have enough risk where you can actually make significant gains. And lastly, I'm going to end with his, well, I'm not going to end yet, but his last thing that he talks about is the importance of mentors, okay? And these mentors are the professionals you work with daily. So if it's your realtor, right, and you want to become a person that owns multifamily properties, right, or you want to buy a property, then your realtor should have already owned a property or has multifamily properties, because then they can more appropriately guide you through that process, right? So your accountant, right? How does your accountant manage money, right? You should be able to know or have some insight into these people that are your mentors in your professional life. Your lawyer, does your lawyer handle uh, uh, jobs or cases, right? If you're opening up a business, right, and it has to do with restaurants, does your lawyer know that side of the business? You don't want to go with any lawyer, right, if the lawyer doesn't know that side of the business. So don't go with your lawyer friend if your lawyer doesn't know the business you're trying to create. Okay, in this part of the video, I wanted to explain how am I using this quadrant to guide my practice, and how could you mimic or follow a similar pattern to get you financial success as well. So for me, as many of you, I started off in the employee side of the column. So I'm still on the employee side of the column because I have a regular job, right? So this job pays me a salary, right? And with this salary, it's important that we, and I, put as much money as I possibly can onto the investment side of this chart, right? So I'm constantly putting at the very least what the government allows us to put in as a maximum yearly contribution into our IRA. So for some people, that's 18,500. For me as a teacher, I can put up to 37,000, and I have to hit that minimum. I'm going to put at least that. That's not counting Roth IRA, and that's not counting outside investments, right? You want to put at least that. Now, what can you do to make sure that you have enough money to survive while putting that amount in? Well, do you have a skill? Do you have a skill? Right? Then you take that skill and you become self-employed. In my case, I grew up with a dad who knew about real estate, and I decided to get into the business on the sales and landlord side. So my self-employed income is via real estate sales. I grew up around real estate. Okay, I feel comfortable in that realm. Okay, so self-employed, you got the money from there, and I don't even touch this money. This money, I put it directly into the business. What's the business? Well, for me right now, it's this educational company that I'm creating, and it's my landlord business. So I have buildings that I rent out. I rent out units, and those units generate income. That income is then reinvested back into the business to buy more properties or to have a bigger stake in real estate, and it's continuous flow. At some point, this money from the business is going to also be trickling into the investment side, right? So the ultimate goal is to be here, right? Every year, the money from each quadrant for me is increasing, and it's becoming more and more to the right side, and it should have a similar trend for you as well. It should have a similar trend for you as well. I hate walking around with money. I don't walk around with more than $100 in my pocket because I want the money to work for me, right? The money needs to be working for me. Right? If I have $300 in my pocket, well, I didn't need most of that. So $200 could have been trying to earn interest or collecting a dividend or something. Could have been doing something better than being in my pocket, right? So I have to put it to invest. I like having as much money as possible invested to earn more money. More money, and it snowballs. It will increase dramatically over time. So I hope that you found this video interesting. I hope that you go out and you buy the book. It's a good book. And stay tuned for my next book. I'm going to try to do a book review every single month so that you guys know where to get more knowledge on uh, personal finance and real estate, or whatever the book may be. but I hope that we create a community where we are helping each other become more financially successful.